Clients who say, oh, my nose doesn't work when we talk about nose breathing. How do I help them see that their nose can work better? Yes. Some people, they actually might be not far off with that. The unbreakable body. Maybe they can't get air into their nose. So there's a few different little tweaks you can try to make that happen. And in fact, this is very common when you have someone who's got a stuffy nose. So one easy solution that you could do, that you can do right on the spot, would be have them take their fingers, have them go on the sides of your nose, spread it apart, and have them breathe in. A lot of times that will increase the space available for the nasal airway so they can breathe in through their nose a lot more easily. If that's the case, and that works, you have a few different options that you could have your supreme clientele do. The cheapest option is when you're doing stacking-based activities, cue the palatal tongue posture that we talked about with Jim's question, and have them just hold that position as they breathe in. That can work really well. You could also have them buy different appliances that may help encourage them to nasal breathe easier. One could be Breathe Right strip. That's probably the cheapest route. It's just a strip that you put across your nose. I'll link it in the show notes. That basically recreates the spread that you do with the fingers. The next upgrade from that, and a more expensive version of that, would be the Intake, which is a magnetized version of the Breathe strip. That also works pretty well. I've had a few of my supreme clientele get that, and they love it, swear by it. I'm partial to the Mute, which is a nasal dilator that you can stick up your nose. I recently did an unboxing of the Mute, and it's pretty cool. If you go ahead and watch that, you'll be able to see the before and afters of how that increases my ability to breathe nasally. Those would be conservative options. I'm going to talk a bit more about this in a future post, but I actually had a more aggressive option done that recreates the same effect called the Vivare, which is basically like an ablation in the nostrils. In fact, I had it yesterday. And so far, I'm going to see how things go after a few months, but it basically feels like I have the Mute in right now. And I slept without the Mute last night, and it's freaking dramatic. It's absolutely dramatic. Could be something to look into. Stay tuned. I'm still vetting the process because I'm still in the healing phase of this. But that's something you could look into as well. But also a lot of the coaching that I talked about with Jim's question, you want to make sure the tongue can get to the roof of the mouth. All of that stuff can encourage nasal breathing. I would also encourage your supreme clientele to do saline washes if they aren't already, because that could potentially be useful as well. Maybe they got a bunch of gunk up there that needs to be cleaned out, and that can help. If you've exhausted those options and they still have a hard time breathing, they might have a structural issue. Get them under a good ENT to see if that can be fixed. As someone who had difficulty nasal breathing throughout my life, when I had a septoplasty done, meaning they shaved down the septum and I had my turbinates reduced, that helped my nasal breathing a ton. And it dropped my resting heart rate 10 beats per minute. So they could be true. That could be an issue that needs to be addressed. But I would try the conservative measures first, see if that helps, and then if it doesn't, you might need to kick it up a notch or Lagasse style and do something more aggressive. Awesome question.